Paul O'Connell, obviously, since last time you were in, has taken the plunge and joined a backroom team as well. And you can kind of see that, like, there was a long time there where he was just biding his time for the right opportunity. And it's, you know...
Do you know what I think? And I don't want to put words in Paul's mouth, but I got the impression that he didn't know exactly what he wanted to do. And he was trying different bits and pieces, but there was that itch that was just, it needed some scratching. And he tried the 20s, and... you know, whether that gave him a greater taste for it or not, or whether he just felt, okay, I've got to have a proper go at this. At least don't die knowing that you didn't give it a go. You know, at a professional level, at a big club, and he's done the Rog thing, and he's taken on a big challenge. And I'm sure Stad historically have been a tricky club to be involved with.
They nearly disappeared last year.
Yeah,
like,
and I remember hearing from Michael Checa that he found that, you know, the politics very difficult. You know, some very set in their ways senior players that are just coming to the winter of their career. So there's definitely a political game, and now this German guy, I can't remember his name, that's come in and bought the club. Obviously he's, you know, put a lot of finance into it, but he, you know, I presume, you know, the whole package was what interested Paul, and getting away from Limerick and you know, and probably the Goldfish Bowl that he lives in. For him to go into Munster, sometimes you do need to experience something else to give yourself kind of a more of a holistic approach to what coaching's all about.
Yeah, totally. And you could see how Johan van Graan would have been a bit like, oh, okay, legendary Irish figure in my backroom team.
Only this guy looking over my shoulder. The way the game was gone, is it possible to just spend your career, or a lot of your career, as an assistant coach? Like, to be a renowned defence coach or attack coach or a forwards coach, and you can bounce from top 14 to Premiership club to maybe an Irish province and back again, and do a Sean Edwards on it and make a very good living, develop a huge reputation without ever actually having to take on all the pressure that goes with being, you know, Stuart Lancaster, England head coach, and suddenly you're no longer on the training pitch with your tracksuit on.
Yeah, well, you know, I suppose Sean Edwards is a great example. That yes is the ultimate answer to that, where you know, he's been Welsh defensive coach for the guts of 10 years, the whole lot of Warren's tenure, and had a lot of success in that time. And yeah, I think that's fine for certain coaches. There's no way in the world that Paul O'Connell, if we're still talking about him, is going to be happy to be a defensive coach or a forwards coach. No way.
I would have thought he just loves the game so much.
Absolutely no way. He
had to get back into coaching because he just couldn't stand not being involved in it. And
no, he likes his control. He likes his control. I would definitely not say he's a control freak, but he likes control, and he will want to own something himself and shape it himself. So,
but he can shape the pack, shape the line out, shape the set piece.
You want to be, you know, guys with big ambition that have played and achieved at the highest level aren't happy going, oh yeah, I'll just make a nice living now out of this.
But surely Paul, he's going to, like, that gets handed, even if he was the head coach, he's handing that stuff off to an attack coach or a backs coach anyway. Yeah,
he is, but he has to do that. That's ultimately his decision to hand power over. A little like what Joe is doing, although, you know, it's questionable how much of it is handed out. I think Joe keeps all his different coaches pretty close to him, and he's definitely in their ear adding value to it, not just delegating, going, right, that's your forward, Simon, you look after that defence, Andy, that's you. He doesn't comfortably sit back and do that. I think he adds lots himself to it, and I would say that Paul O'Connell is someone that wouldn't be able to delegate and go, right, and leave that role of responsibility, because the sense of feeling would be that if I have more of an involvement in it, I think we'll probably be a bit better.
Yeah. Imagine if there was a flaky 10 and, like, he couldn't drop the flaky 10, but his pack are killing it, and suddenly you go back and there's a 10 who's, like, not kicking the ball to the corners, and Paulie has to bite his lips. I don't think he'd be very good at biting his lip. No,
he's not. He's going to be, now that he's into coaching, I think he's going to revel in it, and I think he'll do brilliantly, and he's another detail guy, and he loves it, and he's so passionate about it that I was pleased for him that he decided to take the plunge.
It's great for Irish rugby. It feels like in England he might have got the England job, like they did with Martin Johnson. It's like, yeah, come on, you know everything. It's like, come on, off you go. Whereas at least there is now a template that O'Gara has kind of laid out. We go away, you know, and then eventually when we're ready we come back.
Yeah, and that is, there's lots of other coaches doing that route or their own versions of that route, but not that many with the same success that Rog has had. You know, he's won the top 14 now, and he's won the Super Rugby, and he's
all
been
of which
involved.
without having to deal with all the pressures.
Yeah.
Like,
But
you know, there's very few
imagine that
Axel
knowledge
Foley's, Leo
that
Cullens.
imagine that knowledge that he's picked up.
Oh yeah, and like I agree
the
with you on
background,
O'Connell. He will revel in it, and he's clearly going to be brilliant. I disagree with you. Now, you know probably better than me, but I just think he has the capacity to like excel as a forwards coach, and the nous to go, do you know what, I'm just not going to take that extra step because this is great, and he's getting canned because we lost last week.
No way. No way. He is going to want it. He revels in extra. He's another one that loves more pressure on himself and expectation and, you know, being out front and centre. He was captain of the Lions, he was captain of Ireland, he was captain of Munster. You know, you're not that type of personality to then become, I'll just do defence coach for 10 or 15 years and try and make a living.
But he never had to worry about what the backs were doing when he was playing. He didn't have to, you know, spend an awful lot of time worrying about the attack side of things. Life as a coach is very different to life as a player.
If you're born round, you don't die square. That is simple as where, you know, he is moulded a particular way, and it's in his personality to go out and want ownership over something, and he didn't own teams as a captain, but he was leading teams. He's going to want to be a leader of clubs as well.
But what happens if himself and O'Gara end up coming back?
Yeah,
to
well,
Munster at the same
I don't know
time?
if that's going to be a, you know,
It's been
everyone's
floated.
talking about
O'Gara's
that
not gonna want him
combination.
sticking
You know,
his nose in.
there's lots. You know, I would be less inclined to believe that they're going to form the, you know, magic duo of going back to Munster or partner together for Ireland. I think they're going to go and do their own thing separately, and if the stars do align, well, fine. But I wouldn't be as buoyant about that being a
dream
possibility.
ticket.
Yeah, because they're strong personalities, you know, each of them, and I don't know if they would.
Well, going
see
by what
everything.
you've said for the last 5 minutes, they couldn't be the dream ticket. Because, you know, why would O'Gara want O'Connell impinging on his, you know,
yeah, I think it will. I think it will be. I
backline?
think based on
Vice versa.
what their ambitions would be, that unless Raj with more experience, you know, gets a role in whatever 2-3 years time, and Paul has 2-3 years experience, and Paul wants to play second fiddle, you know, in that whatever team that is for a period of time. That can happen still. That's not beyond belief. But I'm just saying, ultimately, Paul O'Connell won't be an assistant coach all his
Well,
life.
let's see. Let's do this pod in 15 years and see.
We won't have to wait. We'll have an earner or a wager for, if we're allowed to say that, for 4 or 5 years' time, because it won't take Paulie that long. He won't be able to sit in the shadows for long. He just won't. Thanks a million for watching. If you want to subscribe, well, there's the button right there. If you want to see more videos, hit that down there.